What's up, all you horror movie loving fuckers? Welcome back to another episode of the Fright Flick FMK. I'm John.
No, you said I'm John. You're
Oh shit.
Jay. I'm John.
I'm Jay. You're John.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I fucked that up was because I didn't know if we were going to do it. If I was going to do it, we didn't talk about it.
No, we didn't, and it's been a while. So
Yeah.
anybody I don't think I think our last episode was like pre-Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it has. It has. So yeah, no, it's good to finally be back doing another one. Yes, he's Jay. I'm John.
Yeah.
For people that have been around this channel for a while, y'all remember me. But yeah, man, we been busy with obviously, if anyone knows my wife from previous shows that we did, like Spread the Dread and stuff like that, in the early days of Fright Flick FMK, her mother passed. So dealt with all of that. We breed like Mormon rabbits. So
Another
child
baby.
number four, she's gonna be 6 months in like a couple of days. So busy with that, and then of course the holidays. So got all that stuff handled and back, and happy to be doing this. And happy to be doing this with you again, man. It's been
Yeah,
way
because
too long. I'm gonna be
yeah,
rusty as shit, so everybody be warned.
it's all good because even Jess has told me, and other people who have watched the show have told me they always ask like when's John coming back on? Because they're just like y'all two just jail and get along so good. And I
Well,
said,
yeah, we're real life
yeah, we're
brothers.
like brothers, so we were built to do that.
Right. And back when me and my wife Joe were doing Spread the Dread, we wanted to start talking about horror movies, so we started a second show, Fright Flick FMK, but I started doing that with you.
Hmm.
And so and that's what got you into actually recording and all that stuff. And then when me and Joe stepped away to take care of some live stuff, I was like, bro, take Fright Flick and keep running with it. And you've had it. Is it been 2 years already?
No, I think
Year and a half, maybe?
yeah, it's a little over a year and a half, right at a year
Yeah.
and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and kicking ass at 175 on the subs.
Hey man,
Everybody who's watching this, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. He's 25 away from hitting 200.
hey, 200, we're partying YouTube live.
We
We
got to. We promised them at 100, and we
yeah
dropped the ball on that. But
yeah
that was going to be that's more my fault than anything, because that took place right around the time where
yeah.
like I had to completely fall off handling family stuff and holiday stuff and everything like that. So, but 200, yeah, we're going to have to do a live stream.
Yep.
Like we promised them for 100. So
Yeah,
we
we
need
get
25 more people to join the fuckhead army or
yeah.
whatever.
You get to 200, we're going to party on YouTube. We're going live, and
Yes, yes.
that will be a we might lose some followers after that episode. There's a possible we may go from 200 to half of that because as bad as
Yeah,
we get on here sometime, that will be
yeah,
holds bar type of thing.
yeah. Have a chance to edit this before it's given out to the general public, and
Yeah,
and that won't be the case then. So yeah, we may wait at like 205 so we have a little buffer
yeah, a little buffer in
for a
case
few people who actually tune in and are like, these people are fucking crazy. I'm not.
yeah.
I don't want to be associated with this.
Yeah, because out of those 200, there might be one or two little pussy pants in there that will get their feelings hurt and be like, I can't listen to this. Like, what the hell's wrong with them?
off the cuff, man.
Yeah, and that's how it'll go. But
Yeah.
and so this is actually going to be take two for this show because we had this little mishap yesterday prior to
Yes.
when we sat down to record.
Yes. So because it was totally my fault, I guess I'll tell the story. So we had sat down, and it had been a minute since we had recorded. And usually when before we record, it's kind of like a warm up. We just catch up and talk like that. This is kind of like our catch up session. So if it's, I mean, we've texted a little bit back and forth over that time period. But yeah, so we had chatted for like an hour before we started recording last night. So when I got ready to do this, I was like, I want to find two random movies, new movies that I know neither one of us have seen. And I went to this random website and found the movie we're doing now, which is The Devil and the Daylong Brothers, and then the movie that will also be next week's episode because of me fucking up, which is The Ceremony is About to Begin. Because we got into the recording, we had already done the intro and everything. We got to the point where we're about to get in this episode. We start breaking down the plot before I start talking about Egyptian cults and found footage, which is The Ceremony is About to Begin. And Jay goes, "Did I watch the wrong movie?" I was like, "Well, which one did you watch?" He's like, "The Devil and the Daylong Brothers." I was like, "You told me that we weren't going to do that because it's a
Yeah.
musical." And you were like, "I told you let's do that because it's a musical. And you know I hate musicals." And I pulled up the text, and dude, I read it wrong. I gave the information within 5 minutes of getting that text originally. I gave the wrong information to Joe. And it was like, damn, I was hoping he was going to pick that musical because he don't like them, but we're going to do the other one. So no, so we had to stop recording, go another day so I could catch up and watch the correct movie. And I was like, well, shit, let's go ahead and do a twofer.
Yep.
And so, yep. So the next week's episode will be the ceremony of is about to begin, which is about it's a found footage Egyptian cult movie. So definitely check that out. But today we're talking about The Devil and the Daylong Brothers, which is a described Southern Gothic musical, and that is exactly why. And it was free on Tubi.
Yeah.
I know how much if it's free on one of those and it's a horror movie that's new, that just gets your nipples hard.
It does.
So
I got when I heard free in Tubi, I got a little chubby. I was like, oh shit.
They've given so much to this channel. If
They
you
have,
go back and look
you
at
know?
your history.
Yeah, I've done it. Hey, Tubi has carried us, man.
Yes. Yes. So that's where you can watch this, but it's free on Prime, and I believe it was either Plex or
Plex.
Pluto. Yeah.
I think Plex
So
has
yeah,
free.
pretty much the main free ones. It's on all of those, but I watched it on Tubi, same as you probably did.
Yep. And this was a brand new one. New just out this year, 2025.
Was it 2025?
Well, I don't know. That's what IMDb told me, and IMDb don't lie, you know.
Well, then I'm right here on. Yep, I got the page pulled up too. It's 2025. So it doesn't have an actual date.
It says
but,
release date January 31st, 2025.
Oh shit! So less than 2 months ago. So awesome. All right. So yeah, this is brand spanking new. Never heard of this director before, Brandon McCormick. And the writing credits is him as well as Nicholas Kirk. Now I did look at Nicholas Kirk, and he is like the composer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's responsible for the songs. And McCormick is the director, and he actually probably wrote the script. In conjunction with the songs. But yeah, man, it's a musical. I guess you wanna kind of go over it a little bit before we get into if I persuaded you on horror, because we did way back in the day. It may have been before the channel even went over to you, so it could be one of the lost episodes that may have gotten one? Anna and the Apocalypse. And I figured I think that's when I first learned how much you hate musicals.
Oh yeah.
And then like that one didn't persuade you, and like I'm like, damn, dude, like I love Anna and the Apocalypse. So I'm really interested to get to how you felt about it. But yeah, dude, it kicks right off with some music going on.
It does. And right out the gate, because it's kind of a quick little IMDb reading.
Yeah.
Basically, we got us set in some fucking down south, southern somewhere.
Yeah, we're from South Carolina. I still live in South Carolina. This is like still the parts of the South where like I don't go.
Yeah,
you don't go.
No, I don't want to be in those types of towns, and that's where this one kind of takes place. But we're going to have. It says I'm reading this straight from IMDb, so they get credit for this. But it follows three brothers on a blood-soaked musical quest for revenge against their father, who sold their souls to the devil before they were born.
Yeah.
Daddy had goals in life. Daddy had shit he wanted to do. And Daddy was like, you know what, devil? I will give you the souls of my unborn children.
Yes, because these kids were not born yet.
No, he is
a young, struggling musician and did this and was basically like, hey, my future kids. So this is three of them that we know about. And it's the way I took it, because it sounds, because all three of them are different races. Because they even say in there they got three different mothers, but the same like piece of shit daddy.
Some bitch daddy.
Yeah, some bitch daddy.
Some bitch daddy.
Yep. So this man whored his way just all across at least the American South.
Oh yeah, singing the blues and jazz.
Right. So this is three we know about, and so Satan got a lot of souls in this deal. The devil got it good, but and it comes out later in the movie that people kind of consider that he got one over on the devil because of him being able to, I guess, make the deal for not his own soul, but for the offspring, which yeah, I mean it is
Fucking
a
genius move.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought of it,
No,
but
he thought outside the box.
yeah, so I'm at least better than this dad. If my kids watch this, I fucking tried, and I'm at least better than this.
Yeah, this
This
dude.
this this never crossed my mind what this
Yeah,
man did. Not even once.
y'all were just a little thoughtless nut sack, and he was just didn't give a fuck. He was just
Yeah,
like, you know what, devil, I want to give you no matter what seed I sow,
yeah.
yours.
Take them all. Take
Take
them
them
all.
all. Just let
And
me be able to sing. Just let me be able to sing them songs.
yeah, just wanted to be the greatest blues
Yeah.
musician alive. And so immediately, we're in this bar. The singing is starting. You're introduced to the three brothers, which is Ishmael, Enoch, and Abraham. So biblical names. The father's name is Nehemiah. Another biblical name. So you got to know your Old Testament. Me and you were raised up in the church. So we know our Old Testament, Bible. So if you're familiar with Old Testament Bible, and this is not, I am not a religious person anymore. I think you can tell, but neither one of us are. But if you read the Old Testament Bible, that God is, boy, there's a lot of shit that goes down in that part of the Bible before that the long-haired hippie shows up and starts talking about love and flipping over tax collector tables. Like there is old-fashioned, it's blood sport in the Old Testament. So that I liked that it put that in there. And I think if anybody has, especially like a history, we were raised Southern Baptist. So especially if you've got like some Southern Baptist, some Protestant, Pentecostal, the real Jesus freaks. If you've got that knowledge, you'll see a lot of cool correlations, and they wove it in well. But dude, this movie was shot really well.
I will give it that.
This is a good looking movie
Yeah.
for what you clearly know. There's no way this movie had a large budget.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say it didn't have one. I couldn't see. Does it say on IMDb? Because I know sometimes it'll actually put that.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes they
usually
do, but this one didn't have anything about
yeah,
it.
it's usually way down at the bottom
Yeah.
if it's there, but this one doesn't have a ton of details.
Yeah.
Obviously it's pretty newish, but you got to look. I mean, it's only on free services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's no studio of note like in the credits that you're going to be like, oh, like there's no actor except for the father who's played by Keith Carradine. So if like David Carradine and the Carradine family, you'll recognize him. But he probably was there for like 2 days of shooting. He's right at the end. Spoilers, everyone. Spoilers. We're going to spoil the shit out of everything if we didn't say it earlier. But outside of that, everyone's unknown, and that was one of the things. So let's stick to it. So they have the fight in the bar. We're introduced to the brothers.
Introduced to singing.
Yeah, the singing's right out of the gate. So now this one is a musical. I compared to like a Disney musical. There's dialogue, shit takes place. Then there's a song about something that's like coming up or something that's just happened. And then it goes back to it. It's not a musical where like the dialogue is sung like Broadway style type shit. Think Nightmare Before Christmas, Anna and the Apocalypse, those kind of things. And so yeah, they're there hunting a man.
Yeah.
And after they successfully do that, we're introduced to the character Clarence. That's the older guy with the cataract eye that's fucked up.
Because their goal is, and you come to find out early on, is Clarence and them apparently have a deal. Clarence is like supposedly like the devil's right hand man, and makes
he's a soul collector. When it's time for their souls to be collected to pay the debt, Clarence is responsible for making sure that person dies on Earth.
Yep. And so he has these three brothers basically saying, hey, if you knock off these people, in the deal, you're going to get your souls back. The deal your daddy made, the devil's going to give you your souls back. So they're out basically tracking people down for Clarence to.
Right. And so remind me, because I was thinking about this afterwards. So, because I know in the stuff that I read after I watched it, like IMDb, I read like one interview because I wanted to find out if the actual cast members did the singing. They do. Everybody who sings in the movie, they are the actual ones singing. The soundtrack's on Spotify and Apple, and it's the cast singing it and stuff like that. They do very well.
Yeah.
Again, you're not going to recognize any of them. But so to me, Clarence's deal was like if they had collected enough souls, he was going to tell them where their father was, that he knew where Nehemiah was. And if they did that, he would give them the location. Did it ever specifically in the movie mention that if they killed their father, it would reverse the deal with the devil and it would save their souls? I know it's implied.
Yeah.
It's very heavily implied that if they do that, they save themselves. But do you remember if it was ever like bluntly stated? Because like spoiler again, and I'm getting a little bit ahead, when Clarence is later double crossing him, he mentions the whole thing was about knowing where Nehemiah was.
Mm-hmm.
They never brought up him saying that, so I didn't know if maybe it was kind of like an unspoken truth that they just knew that whoever sold out your soul, you can reverse it if you take their life. So I couldn't remember if you remember off the top of your head if it was like specifically mentioned that way.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that I didn't catch was because what I was wondering was, I took it in the beginning when they met Clarence and the way they were talking that they just had to knock off this hit list. And when they met him in the crossroads, he gave them apparently he basically told them there was one more, and then he gave them
Yeah.
that the paper
Yeah,
to
because the guy that they were in the bar for, catching everyone back up, the
yeah
guy they were in the bar for, they kill him. They go to the crossroads to meet Clarence with that dead guy's body, basically like a bounty hunt in the old Wild West days. They
yeah
turn him in.
they cut that there's a
Yeah,
little
the patch.
emblem. Yeah,
Yeah, everybody who has sold their souls has this emblem. It looks
yeah,
like a branding iron for
yeah,
cows. Put it on them. Because it's weird. Everybody has that, and the brothers point out they have the same mark, but it's a birthmark, or
hmm
it's like a scar. It's not the same thing. Like because they didn't put it on themselves, someone else put it on them. Um, but yeah, so Clarence, yeah. So go back to what you were saying with that conversation where they first met Clarence at the crossroads.
yeah. Because they met Clarence and they gave him the piece of skin they cut off, and he basically says there like there's one more, and he gives them this sheet of paper with his church address on it, which led me to believe that when they get to that church, that last person was going to be there. And what I couldn't figure out was at no point yet did they mention anything about having to find the dad. They didn't start worrying about finding the dad until they met up with the old girl and she uses it to get
Yes,
out of trouble.
Francine. Yes. So I will give you that. That is correct. And so again, like once I had some notes and stuff, and it was after the fact, I was going through and kind of trying to fill in some like was that what it was, and then some other stuff. So that's why I said where that was specifically the reason why, because it does come out later, like in conversation and song with the brothers, that them finding their father and killing him is going to set them free. That's going to free their souls of the deal. But that was one knock where I remembered it was implied in like some plot synopsis and summaries that I read, a few that are out there, but I could not remember that actually being brought up in the movie. That exact thing, that if they kill their father, that would set them free. And you're saying it, and you're right. Up until this point, there's not even talk really of the father, unless I missed it and you did too.
Yeah, because I was like all of a sudden, because when they get to the part where they meet Frankie and they're basically they're going to leave. They're basically going to kill her because she's one of them. She's got the little shit on her chest, and they're basically like, "We're going to kill you and go about our way," because they're trying to find Clarence.
Yeah,
And
so we're a little bit ahead. After they meet with Clarence for that first one, they do go to the church, like you had said,
yeah,
because he said there's one more, and that's where it's Reverend Stumpwater. I don't believe his name may have came up, but I did see the listing on IMDb as well,
hmm
and apparently he's on the list. And they do this awesome thing where he tries to run, and
oh
they
yeah,
shoot him, and it blows his leg off at like the calf, like at the
yeah,
shin, and he like makes him do a flip, I believe, or the leg
yeah,
flips. It was something like, it was a beautiful shot.
yeah,
Um, and so then they basically like have him laying almost on like a gravestone, or is it a table or something like that?
yeah.
And they come out with a girl's body.
hmm
It was tough to tell if it was supposed to be a young girl. It looked like he just had a thing of like maybe raping and murdering in general.
That was
Because
basically his gift that he sold his soul to the devil for.
yes, yeah, he had sold his soul because
Yeah,
he was talking about he had certain desires, and but it looked to be a an of age girl from the
Yeah,
body
she
they're
had on
carrying.
because I noticed that she was wearing a pair of like red high heel shoes, and that's what
Yes.
he kind of thinks she was of age type
Yeah.
thing. You know,
Maybe even could have been an escort that he had
yeah.
hired, brought her there, but he was keeping the bodies of these dead hookers or girls or whatever, like in the basement of the church that he was the reverend of.
Where the
Uh,
fuck did he find some pieces of ass like that out in the backwoods? Where
bro, I have no idea, but I guess if you've made a deal with the devil,
hell yeah, I guess the devil will make it happen.
people say God provides. I would imagine if you made a deal with the devil, he'll provide. Per this movie, they got what they wanted.
Because he was
Um,
basically got him a little spot out there in the middle of nowhere in this church, and he was just killing off random chicks and burying them out there,
yes, and
you know.
so when all this is taking place, when the gang shows up, was that the people from the bar?
I don't I don't
Did,
know.
did they have the sacks over their head by that point?
Not at the
I thought
bar. When they got to the church, they got out of the car and had
yes,
stacks
at the
on their head.
church they had the
Yeah,
bags on,
but
correct?
at the bar they didn't.
Okay, so I couldn't figure that was another thing that I was kind of I could not remember knowing because they show up a couple of different times in the movie.
Yeah.
And at first I thought because they got into a fight with some bar patrons before they got their target at the bar that it opened on, and I thought it was those guys who maybe had followed them to do that. But then
But I
later,
couldn't because I couldn't figure out the guy that they talked shit to in the bar, the one that was messing with the waitress. They talked shit to him,
yes,
and but he wasn't on their list. So
no,
leave. But that guy is the one that shows up at the church with that crew of guys
yeah,
with the baghead. And I'm sitting there going, how did he hook up with the bagheads? You know,
yes, and the bagheads come back
when
when everything goes south with Clarence, which made me feel like they were like maybe demons of some kind, or
because
like
they
they were.
wasn't dying.
No, no, they weren't, and like the bags were all bloody and shit
Yeah.
like that. So that was a bit confusing. But either way, they show up and they chase the boys off. And at this point, um, I did like the fact that they were singing while they were getting ready to murder the Reverend. That had some brutal shit going on in it. I did like that. I was like, Reverend was stabbed to death and shot. The brothers flee the gang bar. Um, they're going to Abraham's old friend Francine because at this point,
Frankie.
yes, they've cut off the piece from the Reverend, so they should be able to. Clarence calls them on payphones. Like I guess they know where these payphones are at or something like that, and that's how they link up with him. But he never gets in touch with them after they fulfilled the contract. So they're trying to track him down because unless they show him this, he's not going to give them the information they want. And Abraham knows a girl from back in the day, Francine. They call her Frankie, yes. And he said that she would know. And apparently, it was like I don't know, were they like child prostitutes together? It seemed
That's
that's
almost
the
what it seemed
vibe I
like
was getting. That
because
Abraham, because these kids didn't grow up together. You got to remember that they had different mothers. They were
yeah,
left. They didn't meet up clearly until they were older.
yeah.
Um,
But that
so they
whole
have
thing
different
confused
backstories.
me when out of the blue, like the one kid, he was like, "Let's go see my friend Frankie," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, how does that?" I didn't get no understanding of the backstory of where how just out of the blue that he just assumed Frankie would know where Clarence was.
Well, and the thing is that it comes out later that there's some animosity between Frankie and Abraham because Abraham escaped when he was younger,
Yeah,
and apparently he potentially could have, or it's implied that he didn't try to help Frankie escape with him, even though like they were basically the only things keeping each other alive in there and supporting each other. And he left her there to deal with it, and it's clearly there's an issue there. Um, so I did find it weird that he's apparently going back to that place and knows that she's still there, or I couldn't tell if maybe that wasn't the place that he escaped from and she's at
yeah.
a different place. But she basically was like, she sold her soul to the devil because she was, basically prostituted out and wanted like to break free from that life. And then ended up being a voluntary prostitute, basically saying that she was damaged goods and that's all she was able to do. Um, and yeah, so then there's some back and forth there, and then apparently she knows where Clarence's like kind of headquarters is.
Yeah, because when they get there, the two of the brothers go off. And which one was the one who stayed with old Frankie? What was his name? Was it Enoch?
Enoch was the one that ends up going down to the river with her.
Okay, that's the okay, not him. The other one, the little brother,
The,
kind
the
of.
little brother's Abraham.
Okay, Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham basically stays there with her.
Yes.
So, and they go off to go try to find the search the area. They tell him to stay there to kind of watch their back.
Yeah.
She's in there with him, and instantly I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, oh, they about to fuck.
Yeah.
That's where I went with
Yeah.
it. I was like, there's some
Some
passion.
seduction at least.
Yeah, maybe she's going to try to seduce him. Well, then all of a sudden he's just standing there with his back to her, and she just comes up behind him so gradual, easily look, and all of a sudden something from behind like puts around his neck, and the next thing you
Yeah.
know, he's tied down in a chair. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you just got your ass handed to you by a chick with a silk cloth, and now you're
Yeah.
tied to this chair.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's been going around murking people with his
Yeah,
brothers. So I mean, like he's not, he had his guard completely down around her, which again didn't make sense because there was clearly that he didn't want to be there. Like he knew that they could go there and get the information because you didn't find out that Frankie met their father
hmm
because she has a vinyl that's like signed from him.
yeah,
Because again, he was for a blues musician around that area. He was famous. So maybe it's implied that he partook of her services. Whatever.
he did.
And she says that like she knows too, but she wants to go with them to Clarence. And so they, along the journey where they're going, I'm going through my notes. So there's a point where they stop over. She's got to use the restroom. Enoch, who's the middle brother, he's the hothead of the group too. He's the black one. We'll go ahead and say it. There's a white one. There's a black one. The white one is Ishmael or Ishmael. The black one is Enoch, and Abraham's either Latino or he's like black and white mixed. He's mixed.
Yeah,
Whatever. He's got really weird hair. Like I
yeah.
don't, I that the hair. I couldn't. Judging from the
He
hair, I
had that
could not
little.
figure it out.
He had that little curl.
I, dude,
That's
it was a complete
weird to me.
mystery to me.
Yeah,
In the comments below, speculate where that hair was. Like, let me know what he's made of because I don't know with that hair.
yeah,
But Enoch goes down because she's saying she's got to use the restroom and stuff, and like she ends up going down to the river. She's trying to kind of seduce him. She's singing to him, and she's basically preying upon him because she knows that he's the weakest, and he demonstrates that he's got the most anger about everything. He's going to be the easiest one to manipulate, especially for her because Abraham knows her, and she just tried to kill him,
yeah,
even though they got the upper hand. The brothers came back, and now she's tied up in the car. And Ishmael, he's the oldest. She's got nothing for him.
yeah.
So then they finally get to Clarence and they present everything to him, and he basically tells them that he doesn't know where their father is.
Yeah, he's just there to he's doing the devil's work. He's just collecting.
Yeah, because I love that where like when they were like you should because Ishmael and I got to say like I really liked Ishmael's my favorite.
Yeah,
He had the coolest accent.
yeah,
It kind of reminded me. Remember that movie 30 Days of Night with the vampires in Alaska?
yeah.
Ben Foster, the guy they find from the snow, and
Mhm.
he does that where he's like try to hide, like he's talking weird. He wants the raw meat. Ishmael's accent reminded me of him, and I just got a kick out of that the whole fucking movie. And by God, the actor even sings with that accent. I don't know if you picked that up.
Yeah,
He sings with that accent. It's fantastic. But yeah, so he says that he's been lying about it, but then Clarence says Francine knows.
yep.
He's like, she knows. So they end up
Because the whole
Clarence,
time she's
yeah,
basically telling them because they eventually find out because she was like follow the what is it, the black circle.
yeah, spin the black circle
Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, and she's like trying to give them clues, and so they end up throwing a knife into Clarence's good eye.
yeah.
I'm guessing he's pretty much a demon and unkillable. So
Mm.
they didn't try to do anything outside of that, just took his other eye. Um, and then they're out with Francine, and she's that. And there was a really cool escape, like chasing, because those baghead boys show back up at Clarence's, and they chase
Start
them
singing again
off. Yeah, they sing the whole
the whole
fucking
time.
the whole car fight thing that's going on. Um, and um, they end up going to a roadside, and that's where Francine really like lays into Enoch.
Oh
Am I
yeah,
missing anything before then? Because that's when she's like, I have to use the bathroom again or something like that. And she just starts like mad shit ripping on, like just really pushing
yep,
all the right buttons on him
yeah.
on the
Because
roadside.
after during the chase, our boy, he climbs into the trunk, pulls out that big fuel can, sets it on fire, blows up the car.
Abraham does the
Yeah,
fuel, the
blows
giant
the
Molotov.
yeah throws the big gas can and blows the car up. When they blow the car up, they stop
Yeah.
and they get out of the car, and then all of a sudden, the girl, Frankie, she has basically played to the ego of Enoch.
Enoch. Yeah.
Enoch, because she's
Yeah.
basically in it. Because he even says it. He goes, she told me that I have the kind blood or some shit like that. Like he
Yeah.
is.
When they're down in the creek and she's kind of singing
Yeah,
and
she had.
seducing to him, she's putting all these thoughts in his head. And at
Yeah,
that point, she's preying on him because she knows about the anger. And then this is where it like comes out about like where she just admits that she's been
yeah,
playing
been
him and
playing
how
him.
easy he was to play and why he was easy to play, and like telling him he's just like his father.
Oh yeah,
And then when that happens, that's when the gun came out.
yeah, because he had the gun pointed at her like he was going to kill her, and then the two brothers come up. They're kind of like no, because they go by the fact that they're not murderers. They go by
Yes.
the fact that they kill to get to their goal of getting their souls back, and they will only take down the ones that they have the hit out on or whatever.
Yeah. So
It-
even though she sold her soul, they don't want to do because
yeah,
she is in no way, shape, or form like part of the deal to get there. The
yeah,
whole point is to find out where their dad is, and they will only kill to what's necessary for that. And killing Francine at this point is not part of that because even Ishmael, when he's trying to talk Enoch out of it, he literally tells him he's like, she's the only one that knows where dad is.
yeah. And it was funny though, 'cause when they let him go, I'm thinking okay, but then as soon as they gave you that camera shot.
Yeah,
And it
that
was
wide
such a
one.
sweet shot where
It was
she's
a
on her
very nice
knees.
shot.
Yeah, and it's kind of just it looks all black. You just see
Yeah.
like the silhouettes.
Enoch's in the middle. Frankie's still on her, like kind of, she's on her knees on the
Yeah.
ground over on this side. And then Ishmael and Abraham's by the car.
Yep.
There's almost the exact same distance between Enoch and his brother and Enoch and Frankie. So he's got a split decision to make. And it was a great shot.
It was when and you see when he shoots her, it was so good because you see the splatter. That
Yes.
comes out and you see the way I like the way they did the momentum of it because it almost looked like it picked her up just a little bit and then threw her back. Where it wasn't
Yeah.
just like you shot me in the head and you fall over. Like when
No.
they shot
She,
it, you seen her whole body almost like come up with that bullet
yeah.
went through her head. And that scene there to me, I really liked it
Yeah.
because it was
And she
perfect.
folded like she's on her knees, so she folded her legs went kind of out at an angle, and she folded like directly back,
Yeah.
which would have made more sense, especially given her body frame that she was. And
Quick little thing though about our girl Frankie.
yeah, yeah, played by
Um,
Rainey Qualley.
yeah. You know who her mother is?
No,
Andy McDowell.
really, that is crazy.
Her parents are Andy McDowell and a former model named Paul Quayle. That's how her last.
Yeah,
Her
that's on her
mother's
IMDb. I do see
yep,
that.
mother Andy McDowell.
Spent most of her childhood in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yep.
So I guess maybe that's where she maybe was with her dad or something along those lines. But she was quite good. I enjoyed her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that death scene, man, like that was some really good shit. Like even if you thought that it was maybe overdone, it was overdone exactly right to just really show the impact. And
Yeah.
again, it's kind of almost a metaphor for the decision, how violent and quick of a decision it was, and everything like that. Because they're pissed at him, but at that point they've kind of given up. Now they're clueless. They don't have Clarence anymore, so they're really set back.
The crazy part was though at that end of it, throughout the whole time, once they picked her up, our boy, the young one, Abraham.
Abraham,
Yeah,
yes.
Abraham just did not want nothing to do with her. Didn't want to bring her
No,
home. He
did
wanted
not
her
trust her, didn't
done.
like her. No.
Yeah, but all of a sudden though, as soon as she gets killed, he like runs over there, and it was just like you could tell it like really hit him that he killed her, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, dude, like 30 minutes ago you just want the damn, you know,
I guess, but I
turn that
guess the
down.
history. I mean, they
Yeah.
shared some extensive trauma. So I could get that. And I mean,
Yeah,
then there's
he
also,
lived with the guilt also
yeah, yeah,
of the
you could tell when that came up
yeah.
that it did bother Abraham, that's been something throughout his life that is kind of been his thing.
Hmm.
That that's kind of like his great sin that he carries.
Yeah.
Um, but they 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 start burning. So they burn her body, Francine, because they're out in the middle of nowhere. It was
Yeah.
that was their body, her body that they were
Yeah,
burning, correct?
Abraham takes her out there,
Yeah,
you know, because I thought he was going to leave because
yeah,
it went down. He goes to the car, grabs his guitar case, and I'm thinking he's just going to leave, but he just took his guitar case because he had some stuff in there, and he
yeah.
takes her body out there, sets her on fire, you know, and then he's
She had her little clutch. She
clutch.
had asked to make sure when they left, she actually was like, I need my clutch. I got my girly things in there.
Yeah.
So he's going through it, and inside of there, or no, or was it inside of his guitar
The
case where he
guitar
had
case is where he had that
the
signed
record?
record cover, the record from
Okay.
his dad. Yep. And
And
so,
he gets ready to toss that on the fire.
yeah,
And then immediately is like,
he's
shit.
looking at it because he breaks it because he pulled it out. It was all of the record. But
Yeah.
when he's throwing the stuff in the fire, he pulls that record out and you see where his dad signed it and he takes and breaks it. And then he just
Yeah.
throws it. And then when he's looking at it, he sees something on that record cover that makes him pull it back out real quick
Yeah.
before it started burning.
What did you think he saw? What did you think made him pull it out before we found out?
See,
Because I had something.
I got a little aggravated in that part because it was so dark.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it didn't make it. I couldn't see it. Like I seen him looking, and you see him kind of zoom in on the record, but I didn't know what it was because I was like, damn, it's so dark, I can't make that out.
So what I thought they were going to do is that, particularly on older records like that, because it wasn't a big one. It was the smaller ones
Smaller.
that they would put singles on them back in the
Hmm.
day. You may have two songs per side tops. I think they call those LPs or something like that. But back in the day, it would often have like the studio emblem of where it was recorded or pressed, and there would be an address or something there. So I figured he was going to see on the label that maybe it had like a studio, like where it was recorded,
Hmm.
and it would have had like something, another lead they could have followed.
Hmm.
Was what I thought. But then when he comes back, he's like, he gets with his brothers and he's like, hey, spin the black circle, and he shows it to him, and she meant the vinyl.
Yep. But I think
And
what may have been on that label was the title of the song.
yeah, I thought maybe like on the other side or something. I couldn't tell. Like I didn't see it or anything
Yeah.
like that. I thought that because I was like you, I was trying to focus on the label because it kind of zoomed in when he first threw it in. Uh, and I saw what may have could have been, and I thought that's what it was until when he talks to him and he's like, she said spin the black circle, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was that. So they go right to a bar. I guess the bar lady knows them because the moment she's
Yeah.
putting chairs up, the moment they walk in and they just barge in,
Yeah.
she immediately goes like, "Ah, shit," and walks off screen. And they start
destroyed the
super gluing.
jukebox.
Yeah, they just punch the jukebox to
I'm
get
like,
access to where the records
yeah,
are.
you could have asked the lady there, hey, could you play this for us?
Yes, I believe I can't remember because they super glue it together.
Yeah.
Not sure if that'll work, but whatever. And there's a little chip missing, and then that's when Abraham shows that that was the pick that was in the guitar that he had.
Hmm.
And so they put that in, and they put it in, and they spin the record. But and then when they do that, I'm trying to remember what exactly gave them the final thing. Oh, because the name of the song.
The name of the song was the name of the road.
Yeah, what was it? Drowning.
I thought it was something river or some shit. I don't even remember.
Oh, Drowning Creek Road or something like that.
Yeah, something like had something to do with the creek road or whatever. And he ends up pulling up the pulls out a map and
Yeah, yeah.
recognized that
Ishmael
name.
does. Yeah,
He recognized the name of that, and so they knew the road to go
yeah.
to find him.
It was Drowning Creek Road, and I looked up the song. It's called Drowning Creek Blues. It's on because it's on Spotify. So yeah, Drowning Creek Road was where, and yeah, they recognize that, and so that's where they go, and they find the house, and they find their dad, and this is where Keith Carradine finally shows up. He plays their dad. Um, what did you feel about that scene?
Uh, a part of me when they first got there is I was just like, okay, I had the feeling going into it they weren't going to kill him. I felt like it was not going to happen. Um, I
And again, we've already said spoilers, so
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, we're gonna spoil the shit out of it. So
yeah, I feel like Jay though, like with the themes, especially a lot of like the biblical moral themes, and not in a, it's just it uses biblical things. So like if you're an atheist or you don't know about the Bible, everyone knows about, you know, it does it. If you'll get a little more out of it if you do, but you won't be lost or anything like
oh
that.
no, no, huh?
But yeah, I kind of feel the same way where like if you're picking up on that, you really feel, because now you've seen Enoch lose his anger
Hmm.
and break the brotherly vow. That's just the vow they made to each other, not to murder people that weren't involved. So you kind of felt like it was probably going to come down to Enoch again.
Yeah,
Will he
because
or won't he? You know?
yeah, and each one of them felt like they had something that they were holding on to that maybe that they've realized up to this point the shit that they've done.
Yeah,
You know, whatever, Abraham, leaving her,
yeah.
uh,
Enoch's anger,
his
just he's
anger,
lived in
killing her.
anger. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
And now he is, by their own definition, a murderer. They
yeah.
never considered themselves murderers up until that point. That's when the first murder took place per their code, and it was Enoch that did it.
Yeah, and so when they get to the dad, and
And he's not doing well, everybody.
oh no, no,
So
no,
he
he had a
really
good run.
legitimately was a good, you know, he was well known, but he has clearly fucking lost everything.
Yeah, he is.
He is, yeah, he
Put it
is
away.
down fucking bad.
Yeah,
Like,
he's out in some little wooden shack in the woods. He's dirt poor.
yeah,
He barely
yeah.
getting by. Health's bad, and so when they pull him out there, and they're gung ho to kill him when they
Oh
get there.
yeah.
Like it is like
Well, Ishmael and
it's
Enoch are. Abraham just, there's something he immediately is like, because then he brings the guitar case out.
yeah.
Uh, and that's their dad's guitar. I guess at some point maybe Clarence had it or something. But they have, that is their dad's guitar that Abraham's had.
Because
Um,
they got mad at him, remember, because they asked him why he did it. And he pointed at that guitar and they
yeah,
got,
and that
they're
really
like,
pissed them off. They
yeah,
thought
like
he sold them out simply for
for a
that
guitar.
guitar. Yeah,
Then he told him, he was like, no, for that. And the whole time on the movie, you see him when Abraham has a guitar, there's a piece, some paper taped to the guitar,
yeah. You see music notes
some
on it.
music notes. And he was like, no, I did it for that. And he basically told him, like, I wanted to be the greatest blues singer ever,
Yeah,
And so but yeah, Abraham
yeah,
from,
because he said he never could figure it out, and he was like, "You can't figure out the devil's music by using the Lord's tuning,"
yeah.
and or something along those lines. And he retunes the guitar and then hands it to Abraham, and Abraham starts playing it, and then that's when he sings, um,
That burn song.
lay my, I can't lay my burden down,"
Yeah, burn it.
and yeah, and that's when he goes on to, because they start asking, kind of, accusing him of everything, and he's like, yeah, I'm guilty of all of it. He was like, but he's like, there's people who think that I got one over on the devil. He was like, no, he's like, the devil gave me exactly what I asked for. He was like, I didn't know that to be the best at the blues, you have to live it. And he was
Mhm.
like, in order to be the best, I had to live it worst. He's like, I gave my heart to 1,000 women, and all of them took it from, or most of them broke it. And like how, so that was his curse. He was cursed because the only way to be good at it was to live that sorrow
Yeah.
constantly. And so that's when kind of Ishmael's like, dude, we're about to kill an old man for the sins of his youth, because
Mhm.
he made this really young. And so that's when all the talks of like, we're not going to do it. And Ishmael and Enoch are kind of going back and forth on it. And then Abraham's kind of doing that, because there's a bullet that Enoch has that has daddy carved into
Daddy.
the side of it. And once they tell him they're not doing it, they're going to walk away. I love, he looked at Enoch and he was like, go ahead, spin that bullet. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. And I was like, fuck, is he gonna?
No, because what
Because
I took it as like the old man you could tell he's come to the end of his road. He has
Oh yeah.
hit rock bottom. And so when he made that comment about, spin that bullet, and then but Enoch basically gives him the bullet, and then he just drops the gun right in
Yeah.
front of him, and then they leave. And in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm going, he's gonna give him a chance to kill himself. He gave him that bullet, and he
That's
left that
I
gun.
didn't think about that. I honestly that did I didn't think about that. I thought that it was kind of like basic, and that's a great way to look at it, because yeah, the father was never begging for his life.
No,
Never once did he ask to be spared. He just basically told him, like, it's fine that you hate me, but you should at least know that it's not been I didn't get what everyone thinks I got.
yeah,
And so yeah, so then they leave, and then we it kind of does a fade to black, and then they're in a restaurant later, and then suddenly they're doing something with the paper, and there's a phone ringing, and Ishmael's yelling. He's like, "Somebody answer the damn phone!" And nobody else can hear it.
yeah.
There's a
Nobody hears.
payphone outside,
Yeah,
so they run up to it. It's our boy Clarence,
yep. Clarence,
and
make another deal.
ready to make another deal. And they said, "Nope, we ain't gonna do it, but we are gonna kill everybody we got to kill to get to you, and then we're coming for your boss, meaning the devil."
Yep.
And they hang it up. They get in Grace, the 58 Impala, which I love. That did you catch that in the credits, where Grace and they had was like as the act, they had Grace, which was the car,
Yeah,
and it
bro,
was like
credit.
for the actress in the beginning, it had like 1958 Chevrolet Impala, where
Mhm.
the actor name would have been listed. Because Grace is like the fourth member of their crew.
Oh yeah,
And then that's how it ends, setting it up potentially for a
for
sequel.
a sequel.
So as the name implies, it's a fuck it, it's a marry it, it's a kill. I I I want you to go first, because I'm genuinely really curious now that we've talked about it, where you're at on it.
If we had recorded this last night, if we had done a recording, if we hadn't have fucked up,
When it was fresher in your
it
mind, because you
fresh.
watched it the same day that we were going to record,
Yeah, I
right? Yeah,
watched
you
it
watched it earlier that
a
day.
little
Okay.
while earlier, and
And now, to be fair, on the day we're recording now, I watched it earlier this afternoon. So you've been sitting with it overnight. I'm still
yeah,
recording this same day.
I sat with it. And if we had recorded last night, I was going to kill it, quick kill it. But because we decided we were going to have to wait and do it again and record tonight, I went back and rewatched it
Oh, wow. Okay.
because I wanted it to be a little more fresh.
Fair
And
enough. Okay.
after rewatching it, I had to up my rating.
Okay.
I'm going to kill it. Um,
Okay.
I'm going to fuck it
Gotcha.
because watching it the second time, I wasn't going into it knowing it was a musical. It automatically was almost fair to the movie because I heard musical and instantly I was like, I'm not gonna fucking like it. And then when
You,
the movie started and they're singing
first thing is music. Yeah.
fucking gate, and I
Yeah.
said,
If you don't like musicals, as soon as it starts, you're going to think this is going to be like a constant
yeah,
musical.
yeah, and because next thing, as soon as the movie starts, they're sitting there playing cards, and you see the dude singing the song, his mouth's moving, and I'm sitting there when I started watching this day, I'm like, they're already fucking singing all, and so
I thought about you the moment that happened,
yeah,
because I was like, oh shit, it's a legit musical. I was like, dude, he's gonna kill this fucking movie.
yeah, because it was like, and even when I watched it yesterday, I couldn't get past it. It was like it was in my head. I went into it already with my mind. I didn't go into it with open mind. I heard
No,
musical and
fair
instantly
enough.
was like, this is gonna be one of those fucking singing movies. And throughout the movie, I just kept getting hung up on that. But then when I rewatched it today, what I did is I paid more attention to the music and what was going on while they're singing and how it
Mhm.
kind of matched up and everything kind of pieced together. And it I enjoyed it more the second time, and and I couldn't kill it because I did enjoy it. And it's one of those. It had some kind of funny stuff to it. Their accents, the words they used that
Yeah,
like
the
talk into
phrases
each
and
other.
stuff.
Yeah, and it was funny.
Yeah,
And
it is. There is especially to the conversations.
yeah.
There is it does have an air. It's not played as a comedy, but
Mm.
there are certain phrases and conversations and back and forth that'll make you crack a smile for
Yeah,
sure.
because every time they would say, every time one of them would say, "God damn," and they
Yeah, yeah,
don't blaspheme,
yeah. There is don't blaspheme.
don't
Like he, dude,
blaspheme.
yeah, dude, yeah.
His accent is,
You got
I
to watch it even for that alone, because
yeah,
it's and wait until you at least get to hear him sing, even if you hate this fucking movie, because the actor was able to sing in that same voice, and I was so impressed by that. I was like,
yeah,
dude, he fully committed, because even on holdouts, he never dropped that accent. It was great.
yeah.
Um,
Because I will say, yeah, I'm going to fuck it because it is one I will go back. I would go back to and rewatch again because it was enjoyable after when I went into it to watch it, not getting hung up because it's not a musical where they're singing the entire fucking time. It's very limited when they
yeah,
do it.
that's
And
why I said, like, think old school Disney, like the like Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Aladdin. It's that kind of music. There's
and
a song that's relative, and then it
yeah,
goes on with the movie.
yeah, and I'm not going to lie, the songs are not bad.
They
They're
are not.
not bad songs, and they are very good singers.
And
I
they,
looked it up too and seen that okay, they did their actual singing,
yeah,
and the songs are not. Don't think cheesy musical type shit. These are some kind of dark songs,
I
and
will.
there's
Yes.
the part where uh Frankie had her boy Abraham tied to the chair. That was a very I just knew for sure that song could have led to some fucking.
Was that, let me see. That was the reckoning.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a very well done scene.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and get it out. I want to marry this thing.
Yeah.
Like my wife that I've been with for almost 20 years, it's been over 19 years. She's got stiff competition. I fucking love this movie. I hope to fucking, this is not a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And there is plenty of reasons for anyone to be a fuck or a marry.
Yeah.
If you are really like, if you don't even like Disney level musicals, I don't think this is going to probably persuade you. But I would say, for instance, when I watched it today, my two youngest daughters, Zuzu, the next thing, she was not asleep. She was being loud. I was in another room, so I actually put subtitles on, which was a good thing
Oh yeah.
because I was catching way more of the lyrics of the song than what I normally would have. So I would actually recommend that if you're someone who can deal with subtitles, absolutely put them on, because, like Jay said, you're going to realize how dark some of this stuff is. And if I'm comparing it to something like Anna and the Apocalypse, the way you brought up the fact that like the darkness and how these don't feel like typical musical songs, Anna and the Apocalypse does have that. It's very Broadway in
Mhm.
its songs. There's several songs that are trying to be very modern pop songs, and then there's some that are trying to be pop ballads. And in the Apocalypse, even though the subject matter can get a little grim depending on it, they're trying to sound like a Disney movie
Yeah.
with the beats and stuff like this. This one sticks to the Southern Gothic. It is all like Southern rock, soul and blues. A lot, if you know about like Southern church music, a
Mhm.
lot of that in there. And I mean, Southern Gothic is the best way you can describe this. It is very unique in general. Yeah, dude, like I said, it's not perfect. I will say, I wish to God I knew what the budget was.
Yeah.
Solely because there was clearly scenes where some blood and gore they were computerized, which is cheaper nowadays to do than practical effects. When they were having the big shootout scene, you could tell the bullet lines they were added in post production, and they were special effects via computer. Um, so of course I would have, this movie, whatever its budget was, if it had about maybe 10% to 20% more of its budget added on top to where it could have done that. This one, the director, I've really got to look him up. And from what I saw, I'm gonna pull him up again. I don't believe most of his shit has been shorts.
Yeah. I
This is maybe
recognize.
only like his first or second or third like full that he's directed movie.
And,
There we go.
and
Yeah, he
one of
did
the
a TV
things.
movie. He did two TV movies, and everything else were shorts. It looks like.
Yeah. And I one of the things I did like about this one, and there's another movie that's done by the I own it. Oh yeah. Another one that's right up there with that kind of that I like that Southern goth type feel to it. I
Hmm.
just there's something that reminds me it's almost like Quentin Tarantino type feel to it.
There is a griminess to this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
You could feel the hot, sticky southern sweat on
Yeah.
this movie. It was filmed in Georgia. I don't know if you caught
Yeah.
that in the credits.
Yeah.
So yeah, they filmed it in the South, and it looked hot as fuck. And I mean, you could feel it. This movie is southern as shit. Like
Oh
like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
said,
And
yeah.
it
But
reminds
not comical, by the way. I
no.
did mention that to Joe. You know, as a Southerner, I feel like we always get the same rap in a movie,
Oh
and
yeah.
they played up real tropes of real people that we all. If you're from the South, you know all of these fucking people, and it's played up a little bit for film, but not like in a shitty way. Like if you're a Southerner, this movie won't offend you. It doesn't treat you like a fucking idiot. It's very true to it. But yeah, man, it's Southern as shit. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, because it reminded me of, and one of the things after I rewatched it, it reminded me of another one I'm a big fan of, a movie by the Adams family, that I'm going to do a show on, but it's called Where the Devil Roams, and
Adam's family, is that the ones who did Hellhole?
Hellbender, or whatever it's
Hellbender,
called. Yeah,
Hellbender. Is the one you just said? Is that the one they did after Hellbender? Is that their newest one, or is that a prior one? I haven't seen that one. I'm curious.
I want to say Where the Devil Roams came before. Hellbender was the most recent one, not the most
Okay,
recent one. Yeah, I think
because
this
that
one
was
came before because this one's
uh,
on Tubi. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi, but I want to say it came before. I came across it on Tubi and watched it, and because I did a show on their most recent one. That's where they were digging those holes and they found the alien thing in the ground. I can't remember the
so that's where I got confused. Hellhole.
hellhole. That's the one I
That's
did
their
a show
newest
on.
one, and I
Newest
haven't
one.
watched it yet. But that's the one. Hellbender's the one I saw. So they actually made Hellbender in 21. Where the Devil Roams was made in 23,
Mm,
and Hellhole was made in 24. So
okay.
that was actually their film right after Hellbender,
Yeah,
but
and that's
before their most recent. I haven't seen that one either, though. I'm going to check it out.
yeah. So when I was watching it, it kind of gave me that feel of kind of where the devil roams type of that because it has a little bit of that kind of southern goth type stuff. Some of the music that's played in it. Yeah, and I was a big fan of that, and so I'm definitely it worked out. I'm glad we didn't get to do it last night
Yeah,
because
no, that's awesome because I told Joe I was like now I was like I really want to watch it now because without having to take notes.
yeah,
I want to just and that was something you were going to be able to do now because you really didn't need any extra notes. You're
mm,
just refreshing your memory on it and stuff like that. So I look forward to doing that. But yeah, there's like an oh brother, where art thou
yeah,
like mixed in with like, and it's funny because in oh brother, where art thou they have Robert Johnson from the folk tale about the devil and Robert Johnson about the blues man who sells.
yeah. Uh-oh, your internet stop? You still
Are you
there?
seeing me now? Yeah.
We're good now. Okay. We had,
Okay. Am I back now?
there's a long freeze pause on your end.
I do apologize for that. And I'm about to go ahead and take my phone off of Wi Fi just in case that needed to be helpful. But another movie this reminded me of, it's not a horror movie. It felt like at any moment, like Samuel L. Jackson from Black Snake Moan.
Oh yeah.
Like he was going to pop out at any given, like he would have been neighbors with their father.
Yeah.
Like he would like, it would have been his closest neighbor, like that he would have had would have been Sam Jackson from Black Snake Moan.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I liked it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really do hope that they have a sequel in them. If they don't, I this is one of those movies that really it upsets me because you're like, dude, this movie's never gonna get
It's
the
not.
kind of no like knowledge that it should, and it's literally insane like how good this looks because you just know when you if you watch enough like independent horror, when you find a director where you can tell they didn't have the budget, but they're so good at working with
Yeah.
that budget, and they just it's crazy how much above that budget they were able to get on screen, and that's what this felt like. The musical arrangements didn't feel cheap.
No.
um I mean, it was like I said, everything was well written. Yeah, dude. What was that guy's name? Nicholas Kirk. He was the composer, man. He smashed it out of the park. And especially like if you are fans of like horror musicals like *And the Apocalypse* or what was it, like Repo, the Genetic Opera, and stuff like that, you're gonna have like your favorite new soundtrack ever. Like these songs are catchy in all the right kind of gothy ways. Like, dude, I could totally expect to go into like a Hot Topic and that Reckoning song be playing over the fucking
Yeah,
speaker.
yeah.
If in a just world, this movie would get that kind of exposure because it is insanely unique. Um, and I was even telling Joe, I was like, it's crazy when I think, and not to shit on everybody, but some of the Shudder originals we've watched, some of
Oh,
the Screambox originals we've watched, Tubi originals, and knowing I'm just like whoever, because most of those they don't have a hand in making them. They go out, they maybe buy rights to them, or they handle like last minute financing and then get rights to them, shit like that. Like Tubi's not involved like from pre-production and shit. But I'm like, you guys fucking managed to pick up some of those, and your people managed to miss this one.
yeah.
Like, how the fuck, dude? Because like, I really feel like just on the niche of it alone, if properly, because nothing was really over the top. There is some graphic violence when you think about what's happening, but it's not like real glorified and
No.
over the top. The leg getting blown off is probably the most kind of fucked up thing in there. Would you say?
Yeah, and even then, it just kind of from a they shoot it from a kind of like a far away look. When he comes out the door and it shoots him in the leg. But yeah, nothing is crazy. The only time it gives you like a close up of anything is when uh Enoch, no, Abraham ran back and killed him. Remember when they were getting chased out and
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Enoch
Yeah.
ran back and he was just like literally just stabbing him, stabbing him, stabbing him. And that's the
Yes.
only thing. But even then, it wasn't no
No.
insane type shit. It was done just it was good. You know.
No. And especially with stuff like Terrifier in theaters
Oh yeah.
now, banking, close to, if not over 100 million. Like this movie, just off of like the niche of it alone, if you put some decent money into like some marketing to the right audience, this thing could have easily, I mean, there's no reason to think this couldn't have made 5 to 7 or 8 million dollars at the box office, even looking the way it does.
Yeah.
But again,
It was very clean.
if this movie was made for 250,000, if they had an extra 25 or $30,000, and maybe I would have like a half a mil in good product advertising where they needed to. Yeah, this movie could have easily got you 10 mil at the box office, and you wouldn't have even had even a million and a half investment on it, man. That's what pisses me off, man.
Yeah.
But this one, dude, don't sleep on it. Like I really
Yeah.
hope people find this one because again, we always say no matter if we talk mad shit about it, go watch it. You
Yeah.
should always go watch it. But man, I think a lot of people are going to be like you, where if they take the risk on it, it's going to be a musical that actually kind of gets them. They kind of like, oh, okay, they did this one right. And if you're the right kind of audience, man, this is going to be like one of your new favorite things. Like I'm I'm hoping this gets a physical release.
Oh yeah, me too. I own this
I'm
one.
gonna be very much on the hunt for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it that much, and like I said, yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's on Tubi. What you said, Plex,
Mm.
Amazon, and it's free on all of those. So you literally have no reason not to. And again, like no, if you've got even a mainstream level of gore and stuff like that, you're gonna be anybody could watch this and enjoy it. It's not crazy, man. You're gonna see stuff like this watching that new Dexter spinoff on fucking Showtime. It's cool, man. I really like this, man. I can sit here and just talk about how much I liked it and say the same shit over and over and over again. I told Joe this is one because I know I can't think of any way I would have found out about this movie without doing something like I did, going on a random site. And luckily, because we wanted to record something, I just randomly found out about this. Had you ever heard of it before me sending that?
No, no, I haven't. Because normally what I do is I'll go to like my normal streaming like Tubi and stuff, and I'll look for the like most recent new stuff comes out, and I'll scroll through, and
Yeah, I
you know,
know you do that a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and I this one probably would have jumped out at me by looking at it if I, but what had stopped me was when I'd have seen the cover. I'm like, oh man, long, cool car on the front, hot chick on the front. And then
Yeah.
I look down and sing musical, and I'd have been like, scroll, nope,
Yeah.
because that's just I not just horror, any type of musical, even Disney movies annoy the shit out of me because I
Yeah.
hate the fucking singing. But that's why I'm glad I was able to go back and rewatch it because if we recorded this last night, I would have told you I would have killed it and I never would have watched it again. But the
Yeah.
fact that I wanted, we were recording tonight and I wanted to just watch it one more time, just a little more fresh. And I'm sitting there and I actually went into it knowing kind of
Yeah.
what to expect. I knew, okay, there's going to be singing, but it's not a lot, and there's some really cool
Yeah.
songs. And so I definitely enjoyed it the second time. And that's why I had to bump it to it's not Mary material for me, but
Yeah.
definitely a good friends with benefits that I will ring up every now and then to come.
No, see, I'm surprised because I honestly figured the best case scenario was going to be that you were a fuck, but I was like, he's going to be a fuck, and he's going to be like, I enjoyed the parts where they weren't singing so much that I didn't care about the singing. But
Mm,
you're even going back second, be like, dude, like the songs ain't bad.
yeah.
It's not. It's done just enough to be a musical, but not too much to go ballistic with it.
And I like the
Yeah,
darkness side of the songs where it's like
dude,
I
and
was
it's not cheesy dark, but
no,
like
no,
there's
no.
like underneath, like there are some real. I mean, there's a there's a weird, like, again, kind of southerny comedic element to the top layer of it, but it's all covering a lot of dark shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of internal dark shit when you think about it, like just the way some of this shit's going down and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, like I really do. I really, and that's what sucks too, because like I really would like a sequel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would
Especially
watch.
if they're able to deliver on this level. So I hope I'm wrong, and more people look into it so that they could get that way. I'm gonna try to follow like the director if I can find him on X, and
Yeah,
that
I'll
way if
put
like he
on.
starts trying to crowdfund or anything like that, absolutely, because dude, like if not, I'm just excited for whatever he does next, because he is clearly, I think, somebody who some studio is going to take a big risk on him, and people are going to be like, "Who the fuck are they talking about?" And a few people are going to know, and it wouldn't surprise me if you see him doing some pretty big shit in the next like 5 to 10 years if he keeps doing stuff on this level. Like, I think maybe he was making all those shorts until he knew he was ready to handle something like this, because it's crazy that I see this is his first. He's made TV movies apparently, but nothing like this else. So I would consider this kind of like his debut. And yeah, he nails it, man. I'm really, that's awesome though. I'm so happy that you actually, yeah. Then there was a good, and like I said, my fuck up worked out because now we've got the extra episode planned.
Yep.
And so now I've already got the notes for two of them. So we're gonna record that one, and the ceremony is about to begin. You haven't watched that one yet, right?
No, I'll be watching it tomorrow.
Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah, so if anybody is seeing this and wants to watch it beforehand, since we actually, most of the time, you don't know what your next episode is going to
Oh,
be, but since we do, the only place I could find the ceremony is about to begin was on Amazon Prime. Was that the same for you?
yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even find it on like my Voodoo Fandango, because like if I'm going to rent something, that's usually where I do it because I got my digital collection there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on there. That was the only place I could find it. So if you want, I think it was $3 to rent. It's called The Ceremony is About to Begin. It is an Egyptian cult found footage movie. So you got a whole week
Damn,
now.
you lined them up for me because my two least favorite types of movies, that's the ones you picked. I hate musicals and I don't like found footage.
See, okay, I guess maybe I didn't know that you, well, I don't remember you disliking found footage. I knew you didn't like musicals. That was literally, and that's the thing. I only picked this because it was a musical.
Yeah.
That Devil and the Daylong Brothers, that was it, because I was like, okay, even if it sucks, it'll at least be funny to hear Jay rant about me having made him watch a musical.
Yeah.
The ceremony is about to begin. I picked because if anybody else knows, I love found
Yeah.
footage. That's one of my favorite things. I
Yeah.
didn't know you disliked it quite that much. Um, yeah, I won't get into it because I've already watched it. So I will tell everyone you should definitely check in for that episode, because now knowing that he dislikes found footage as much as musicals, I'll just say right, I am not as confident in the ceremony is about to begin as I was about the Devil and the Daylong Brothers. I will leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm glad that I watched again The Devil and the Daylong Brothers, because like, I'm like you, it's going to be one of the ones I want to add. You know, I'm picky about what movies I add to my collection. I just don't buy any.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm just a whore.
Yeah,
Because like I said, I've got this isn't all horror. You know, my
yeah,
shit's alphabetized. So if you zoomed in, you'll probably see, yeah, there's fucking Ice Age and shit like that. You know, I got kids and stuff. But yeah, this is one like I am going to like whoever ends up putting out a physical copy of this, I can't wait for it. So again, I'm going to follow the director on X. If anybody else wants to, again, that director's name is Brandon McCormick, like the Spice Company. Um, and the composer was Nicholas Kirk. So if you guys can find them, feel free to follow them. But yeah, man, they did fantastic. Another thing, like right to close it, just to harp on it again, you are not going to recognize these actors. And I couldn't find a bad actor among them.
no,
My biggest thing, and I will say this because it did bug me, and it bugged me all the way until the end. I guess it's like if you hear British people say when they hear Americans do British accents, to me, it sounds right. But to someone who's British, it doesn't. They can pick it apart. Someone who's Southern, Ishmael, that actor nailed it. He nailed it the whole time.
yeah,
Abraham's wasn't as over the top, so it wasn't hard. Enoch was spotty for me.
yeah,
Sometimes it was very forced, and then sometimes it felt more natural. Again, he had some really weird dialogue, and he had to go from like 0 to 100 on his anger, so he had to do a lot of different shit with it. So I'll give him some grace on it. But that was the only one. But dude, big props to the what's the guy who played Ishmael, because I fucking loved him.
yeah,
Brendan Bradley
yep.
is the guy who
Bradley.
played Ishmael. Dude, yeah, that accent had me every time, bro. He was so funny just to hear him talk, and he did a great job singing in that voice too.
Yeah, I was, like I said, super glad we watched it and glad I rewatched it. And
Yeah,
because I enjoyed it, you know, and so everybody
yeah,
needs to go watch it. You know, no matter what we say, we tell people all the time, go watch the movie. It's free on Tubi, ain't gonna cost you shit.
yeah.
And but like I said, it's one of those movies that, like you said, people are going to watch it, and it's going to be one of those movies that just hits home, and they just like, holy shit, man, this they like you just watched it, and
Oh
every
no,
now and
yeah,
then, every
yeah.
now and then, and that's why sometimes I like going on Tubi and stuff like that, and I'll go down those rabbit holes of just like pick a movie and then it says they recommend this one. I'll go down that rabbit hole because you stumble across some,
yeah,
and so many people are going to scroll past this
yeah,
and just be like, you know, they're going to see like musical action musical type thing, and
yeah.
they're going to scroll by it. I would have done it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's technically classified as a horror, but really the only thing that does it is kind of the fact that you got demons. The
Yeah.
subject matter falls into that. There is some violence and stuff like that, but I mean, yeah, really outside of it, it's not, dude. I mean, it's not. There's nothing that's going to scare you in this,
No,
like at
no.
all. So again, I think like if you have someone who doesn't like horror, like if they can deal with like like an R-rated action movie that has some a little bit of graphic violence, if they can handle that, but they don't like being scared, they're not going to get scared at this.
Oh
So
no.
like if especially like if you're someone who likes like even like the Nightmare Before Christmas or Corpse Bride, like those kind of like hot topic musical like things, dude. Like I said, this in a just world, this would be like the next thing. And it's crazy too, because like the box office is, even though I have no interest in it, shit like Wicked did a big ass numbers. You've had musicals really do some great shit at the box office in the past few years. So it really sucks that a studio missed this one. They set everything up perfectly for a sequel. I hope they have a sequel in them, and I hope somebody with some money shows up for this and is able to promote the original and fund a sequel, because
Yeah.
I would love to see them have, don't give them too much more of a budget, because there's magic when they can make that budget
Yeah.
sing, but a little bit more, man. So they could have done everything practical, everything cranked it up to just cranked it up a little bit and polished it just a little bit more, man. It would be awesome. So yeah, dude, I can't recommend it enough. Absolutely.
Yep. And so family, that's it. That's this week's
Yeah.
episode, The Devil and the Daylong Brothers. And
Yep.
we've already told you what's coming next week, which you never get on this show. You know, never. I never
Yeah.
know what's coming next week. And but now you know what's
Yep.
gonna be back next week.
Thanks
And
to my fuck up, we're good. We're gravy.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
This
good.
again, and again, the ceremony is about to begin. Is the name of it? The only place legally that you can watch it that we
Hmm.
have found is $3 to rent it on Amazon Prime, and that'll get you the HD version. People, that ain't bad for $3.
That's
And
not
then
bad.
you got a week to watch it, and you won't even get any spoilers when you get our review next week. And that is again, like Jay said, that is very rare.
Yep.
If you're a fan of this show.
Yep. But hey, it's super cool to have you back on here, man.
Yes,
And,
yes.
I definitely
Look,
missed it. Everybody misses it because everybody always asking, like, when's John coming back on the show? I'm like, am I not good enough for you people? No. They want the they
well,
want the
well, the good thing about me doing this is I make you look at shit like this that you would be like, nah,
this is
I'm not
true.
going to do that. You'll go watch something that someone made for fucking 10 grand.
Yeah.
And fucking shat out on all these 10. You will go do that in a heartbeat, but you'll see musical and something that has a decent production value and be like, fuck that shit, click. Like,
That's exactly what I would have done.
yes.
I
Or
know.
ceremony is about to begin. You just saw found footage? Nope.
Yep. If you know, I know for a fact I never would have took the time to watch The Devil and the Daylong Brothers because I see musical, and I
Yep.
knew, and that's why I'm glad that you recommended it because it's, you know, it's just one of those that, you know, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it being a movie that I was going to enjoy, and now here we are both, you know, hoping that we get to add this to our collections, but
Yeah.
but yeah, next week, people. And go follow us on we're on Instagram. I no longer do Facebook, and I have an X, but it's not show related X.
Yeah.
It's just but the only thing that's show related is going to be on Instagram from now on. I got tired of dealing with Facebook and all that other shit. So I'm strictly, our show is on Instagram, nothing fancy. I'll kind of put on there what we're talking about and stuff like that. But you can go check us out on Instagram at Fright Flick FMK. Follow along on the YouTube channel. And once we get to 200, we're partying. And
Yep.
but yeah, come back next week. We're gonna do all this again. And yep, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us, brother.
Yes, sir, man. It was a pleasure. And yep, everyone, again, absolutely go check this out and make sure next Friday. So what is that? That's the 3rd to 14th. So the 21st, March 21st. The
Yep.
ceremony is about to begin. It'll be 2 episodes of me and Jay back to back. I don't know if that's ever happened. And if it has, it's probably been well over a year.
Yeah,
So
it's been a hot minute. Yep. So
absolutely. And yes, make sure to subscribe. Let's rush him to 200 to see if he's going to throw all of this away on one live stream where he shoots off at the mouth at the wrong time with a little too much Gentleman Jack in his cup. I'll be there for it, and we hope you will be too.
yep. And hey, family, I appreciate you all hanging out with us and listening to the shit show. I appreciate it. Now, this is that part of the episode, people. You all know what to do. I need you to reach over, grab your drinks, put your chairs away, gather up all y'all shit, and y'all get the fuck out of here.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We have such sights to show you.
Mountains!
All you have left is night to sun.
My name is Frankenstein!
That man's gone mad!
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
See this? This is my boomstick!
I ate his liver with some fava beans. A nice community.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
It's alive! It's alive!
Here's Johnny. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror.
Welcome to the debauchery.